everybody, welcome back to Anna Does Design. Today we're going to be building 5 icons that I have requested that Claude pick out for us. Claude being the AI. I asked Claude, what is the most requested icon from people, or what do people generally want a tutorial for? And they picked these 5 icons. So let's get started. Let's start by building the user icon. We're going to start by building icons with these keylines. These keylines have what's called intrinsic padding. That's the space between the inner keylines and the outer frame. This is just a style that I chose to do today. This makes our icons a little more compact, which can give a different look and feel than icons that don't have intrinsic padding and go all the way to the edge. I'm just calling that out before we get started. We're going to start by building a circle. Now I just want to note my design properties panel. As you can see in the panel, I am using a 2-pixel stroke and it's inside. That's just a choice that I make. Build however you want. But note how you build may affect things. So I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to make what I call the body of our user. Everybody builds users differently. It's totally up to you. Again, design is so subjective. So I'm going to take these 2 icons and I'm going to press Shift X, which is going to change the fill to the stroke and the stroke to the fill, right? Every time we press Shift X. I need these both filled because I'm going to use a Boolean, which is called intersect. And I'm just going to use the properties, but Option Shift I. Now I have my body. Perfect. So one of the things you can do is you can remake a circle, or you can press Command Shift C, Command Shift V, and it'll take that circle outside of the intersect. And now we have our circle for our user. The last thing we're going to do is build our head, and you can just press the circle. You can build it as big as you want or as small as you want. Now I feel like the body might be too big, so I am just going to bring it down some and bring the head down. Perfect. Something to note when you're building icons, generally you want to have the space between your objects being the same width as your stroke. So these are 2 pixels, so I should have 2 pixels space between, but I don't want to do that because it's not the style I'm looking for. And if I did, I'd probably have a really big body and a really small head. And that's not how I want my icons to look. Again, you can mess with this and change it however you want, but this is how I want to build my icon. Okay, so I just did my icon one more time just to make sure that I like the way it looks and feels. But I'm going to take this icon and I am going to union it by pressing Option Shift U and move on to the next icon. And you'll see why we do that later. The next thing we're going to do is make a home icon, and I'm going to do that by pressing R, and we're going to make a square. We're going to start building the home icon, right? And we're going to start that with the square. And one thing to know about home icons is in order to create visual balance between maybe your other icons that are using straight up like circles, squares, and rectangles, you might have to adjust for that. I already know that this square, if it was a home, is going to feel a bit smaller than probably that circle, especially once we add a point to it. So I'm going to do that and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to add this point, and you can edit any of your strokes by pressing Enter, and that will bring you into this edit version where you'll see this hover effect, and down here you can see that as well. I have this point and I'm going to drag this point up to start making that house shape. Next thing I'm going to do is take these 2 points, use my keyboard, and bring them down. Perfect. This is starting to feel like a house. Now I can see already that this does not feel visually balanced. So that's due to this big white space happening here because we've made this a point. So to account for that, you could take these sides and drag them out all the way to this outer rectangle. And again, this might be breaking some rules, but that will start to make it feel visually balanced, and it's starting to. Again, you can adjust things how you want to make it look and feel like a house. Totally subjective. So this is what I want. I'm going to make a door, make it centered, and then I'm going to union these. Perfect. Now we have a house and a user icon that feel very visually balanced. The next thing I'm going to do is create a cart. We're going to start by building a rectangle. And that rectangle, what I want to do is I'm going to give it that shopping cart look and feel. So I'm going to take this bottom corner and I'm going to bring it in. Because when you think about a shopping cart, when you're at the grocery store, they usually have that outer edge much further out than the inner under edge. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to make some wheels by pressing O on my keyboard, and maybe we have them down here. And then I'm going to make that handle that you'll see on a shopping cart as well. So looking at this shopping cart, it does feel like it could go maybe a smidge bigger, wider. So I'll take these two. Again, if you want to press enter, you could do that. But I think this feels a little more balanced. Just another check. Nope, don't like that. Okay, so this is what we ended on for our cart. Perfect. Oh, last one. Let me try one more thing. Ooh, I like that. No. Okay, so this is what we're ending on with our cart. I'm going to move on to a gear icon. So before I built icons, I thought these gears were probably the worst icons to build. They were super redundant and it took me forever to do. But now that I've learned how to build, it's much easier. So I take this rectangle, Command-Shift-C and V all the way around in a circle. And then what I do is I build a circle inside to give us that connecting feeling for the gear. These pieces are connecting, and gonna make it 18 by 18. Perfect. And we can see how we like this. And luckily, because we're building with Booleans, it makes things much easier to adjust in the future. So I'm gonna take all these objects. I'm gonna press Shift X. So now we have this crazy looking thing, and I'm going to union them. And then after unioning, I press Shift X again and I have this gear. I can make an inner circle to make it look and feel more like a gear. And we can always adjust, like I said, because this is a Boolean, that circle that's in the gear to make it connect here. It's totally up to you how you want this to look and feel. Yeah, that might be not good. So I think I'm going to go with this. Perfect. Last thing we're going to do is build a magnifying glass for search. The best part I think about magnifying glasses is they are fun to make because you can make this glass part as big or as small as you want. So if you want a really big glass and a very small handle, you can make it look like this, which will have a totally different look and feel than something like this. Again, totally up to you, but I like this probably about 16. I'm going to take this handle and drag it down here. Perfect. We forgot to union these objects. Whoops. So we're going to go ahead and union our cart, and we're going to union our gear, and last but not least, our magnifying glass. And I do this because I use a plugin called Icon Genie where I name, frame, and flatten. I take these icons and I open up Icon Genie. I can name them user, home, cart, gear, search, and then I press generate and it gives me the live version. Again, with designers, you can still edit this, which is so awesome. And then the flat version, which is for exporting or using within your designs, right? So these also are scalable, so I can make them as big or as small as I want. If I make those 42 by 42, or if I make them 24 by 24, again, that's how we build them, or 16 by 16, or maybe even 12 by 12. Totally up to you, but the icon should stay scaling as you're using them, which I think makes it so much easier to use. But yeah, that's it from today. We just built 5 icons relatively quickly, and now you know how to build them too. So if you want to see any icons that maybe you might have trouble building, I can take a crack at it. Yeah, put it in the comments. So thanks so much. Bye.